Shopping, as the title implies, really is a book about how, in general, our everyday practices are informed by a Christian faith. Something that unites all of us in the world is that we all shop, whether it's simply for food, or here in the States, a lot for clothing and electronics. Shopping is something that really unites the world. And really what this book is trying to emphasize is, how do we as Christians shop? So I deal with issues of materialism, globalization, and consumerism. I look at questions like, is shopping sinful? Is shopping redemptive? Ultimately, what I try to argue in the book is that how we shop represents something about our values. It tells us something about what we value in this world and also where our priorities are. Shopping isn't a manual about how to shop. I didn't write this book to tell people what they should buy and why they should buy it. However, I hope that this book will make you think about why you buy the things you buy, and more importantly, how does your Christian faith inform all of your actions? Instead of thinking about our spirituality as something that's isolated from the rest of our lives, shopping puts it front and center. When we make decisions in our lives, in our daily actions, our faith informs that, right? We don't compartmentalize it. And so what shopping does is look at the practice of shopping and say, okay, how does our Christian faith, what is the Christian tradition, what do Christian scriptures say about shopping? And when we take that all into consideration, how do we reassess how we shop and what we shop for? I think this is a really pressing question today, especially for us in the United States, where we're a culture so dominated by consumerism. Shopping tries to answer, is consumerism a spirituality? If we buy into that consumerist spirituality, are we ultimately going against our Christian spirituality? So I hope that you join me in exploring these questions and looking at why we shop and what does that mean for how we understand our spirituality and our relationship with each other. The history of this book is an interesting one, actually. I'm part of what's called the Constructive Theology Work Group, which is a group of progressive Christian theologians that gather together once a year to support each other's research and really try to do academic theology, but dealing with those life and death pressing issues that haunt and challenge all of us. So the group realized that when we think about everyday practices, when we think about books that are written for a progressive Christian audience, there are not a lot that look at our daily lives. And frankly, our daily life is really where we find the heart of our spirituality. So the group decided to start this series called Everyday Practices and Christian Faith and look at different things that we do in our lives, different things that we don't even realize that are part of our daily lives, and then examine how our faith informs it or how our faith can inform it if we're not thinking about it explicitly. Well, when the group came up with a list of topics and shopping was on it, I must admit I jumped on it right away. I think in part because, I'll confess, I love to shop. It's something that I struggle with as a Christian. It's something that I struggle with in terms of the current economic situation of the United States. So I really wanted to probe deeply into the question of shopping, the question of materialism, the question of globalization. After all, in the act of shopping, whether it's buying a peach that was grown in Chile, or buying an article of clothing that was sewn in Guatemala, or buying an electronic that was put together in China, we unite the global community. So even though in many ways shopping is an individual act, it's a global act. And so this book came from a collaborative process, which is really exciting to me to think about. It's not just my idea, but the idea of various people. But for me personally, it's struggling with this practice that so shapes our life in the United States and trying to explore what can Christian theology, Christian scriptures, the Christian tradition, what do they say about shopping, and how can I as a Christian shop in a more Christian way?